Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. As a therapist, I've heard many stories of infertility from women, men, and couples. This is my story.
You gotta see Jessie. Go see Jessie. I was having lunch with my mother and her best friend, Flora. Jessie was Flora's son and a reproductive endocrinologist. I was 39 and had only just started trying to get pregnant after being married a year. "You're old. Your eggs are old," Flora kept saying. So off I went to see Jessie. I wasn't really concerned. I figured I'd get a workup, and if anything was wrong, we'd fix it, quickly and easily. "It's nice to see you," I said as I lay on the examining table, my feet in stirrups and my gown open. "I haven't seen you since your bar mitzvah," trying to reconcile that image with the man now examining my breasts. After the examined blood work, my husband and I sat with Jesse in his office. He was very kind and very frank. "Your chances decrease a great deal after 35. I'll call you with your test results." Jay and I left. "How you doing?" my husband asked in his lovely inquiring way. "I'm fine. Really, I'm not worried at all. I feel great. I'm fit, healthy. I've never really even been sick. And," I thought smugly, "I even do triathlons." A few days later, I was in my office returning Jesse's call. "I have your blood results," he said. "Your FSH is 22. "I'm sorry," I said. "I have no idea what that means." "It means that you have a 1 in a million chance in having a biological child," he replied.
So that is how I learned I was infertile. And despite my ambivalence about having children, I was surprisingly devastated. Without quite realizing it, I had begun to imagine myself as a mother. And how could I not? I had been bombarded by messages since birth that I was to be a mother. "Be fruitful and multiply," we hear over and over. Then we get to school, and it's first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes baby in a baby carriage. I was first wished a happy Mother's Day when I was 12 years old, because one day I would be a mother. The desire for a child of my own felt deep-rooted and entrenched in my being. Adding to this is our media. Our media focuses relentlessly on celebrities and their glamorization of pregnancy and motherhood. There's a very long history of this, but the most recent trend began in 1991 when Demi Moore posed nude and pregnant on the cover of Vanity Fair. More recently, we have Brad and Angelina, and Jennifer Lopez's years-long quest for parenthood. And most recently, we have Beyonce and Kim and Courtney and Halle and Fergie and Kate Middleton, and I could go on, but the message is clear. Pregnancy and motherhood is normal and expected and fabulous. But now I could not do what everyone else could, something so fundamental, so biological, and the desire so innate I hardly understood it myself. If emotional trauma is an assault to the brain, my brain felt pummeled. So reproductive trauma is very difficult to understand. There's no concrete loss. There's no live person or child that has died. And the losses are quite hidden. There's the loss of the planned and hoped for future with children. There's the loss of creating something with your partner. There's the loss of the symbolic crossing into adulthood. There's a loss of parenting and then grandparenting. And for women especially, there's an enormous social loss. Women bond with each other by talking about the details of their lives. This starts very young. When we're kids, we talk about our crushes. As we get older, we talk about our dates, our good ones, our not so good ones. Then we talk about our relationships, how we met, how we fell in love, how we ultimately committed. Then we talk about our pregnancies and our children. Straight or gay, this is what women talk about. But now, faced with infertility, we are no longer talking. And there is nowhere to grieve these losses. There's no funeral, there's no condolence card, There's no acknowledgement and very little understanding. And because of this, a chasm begins to open up between us and the world. Our friendships suffer, and we experience an assault to our identities as able-bodied, competent, relational men and women. We feel shamed and broken. Adding to this is our society and their assumption that if you really want a baby, you can have a baby. Infertile women are told all the time, just relax, implying they are somehow responsible for not being able to conceive. They're also told, just adopt, use a donor. While these are wonderful options, they're not for everyone for various reasons, financial, cultural, religious. Yet even when they are options, the loss of fertility must be grieved. We would never tell a woman whose child had just died, just have another. Yet we tell infertile women all the time, just adopt. The loss must not be skipped over. Infertile women need to grieve, need to mourn, and need to articulate all that is happening without being silenced. I grew up with both the women's movement and huge strides in reproductive technology. The message was clear. We could have it all, at least until we were in our 40s. And many women are waiting until the time is right to have children. Some need to work through some childhood trauma before they're ready to parent, even partner, before they're ready to partner and then parent. Some women are not even in touch with a desire to parent until they work through this trauma. Many women want to establish careers, not because they are selfish, but because it helps to define them and increases their self-esteem. Some were raised in single-parent or dysfunctional families and want to make sure they can support a child on their own. Whatever the reason, science was on our side. But science does not always work.